Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome back to the Fitness Business Podcast. It is your host here, Jordan, and let me get a little cheer. All right. All right, that's enough of that. All right, so we actually got a new recording software here that we're using that should make these episodes a lot better, and I have cool little sound effects that I can use, so you should be pumped for that. But anyways, I'm sharing this episode, which is essentially 10 business and life lessons that I wish that I knew, and these are lessons that I've learned after doing around $30 million in sales, and ultimately these are things that, man, if I knew these things when I was 24, 25, I could save myself a lot of headache, because I'm getting ready to turn 35 next month. Should we do another cheer? Yay. I'm getting old. But anyways, turning 35. And honestly, this has been a fun ride. So last month, we actually crossed $30,300,000 in total sales in our business. I'm a father, a husband, to an amazing wife. I'm in probably the best shape that I've ever been in, and probably the happiest that I've been in, which is not saying a lot because I'm generally not a super happy person. I'm pretty hard on myself, but doing the best that I've been. And these are essentially 10 lessons that I wish that I knew about business and life when I was 25. So number one, the more haters that you create, the better that you're ultimately doing. So the reality is very few friends in your life will be there in 10 years from now. Okay. And so if you're allowing the judgment and the potential fear that you have of how you might be being perceived with your friends, man, you're allowing them to have your power. So if I go back to when I was 25, I was so scared to show up online. I was so scared to pursue this business because I honestly worried about what my friends might thought. And the reality is when I got started, a lot of my friends would joke and make fun of me. They'd be like, oh yeah, Jordan's doing push-ups on the internet for money and all these things. And it was especially easy for them to make fun of me for the several months that it wasn't working and I was broke and nothing was clicking. But then when things finally did start to work, they were the first ones to come and be like, man, good job. It's amazing what you're doing. And it's like, yeah, it's easy to say that now that things are working, but where were you early on? And so I want to tell you a quick story that I heard from friends of mine who own a company called Goalcast. It's a multi-million-dollar content brand, media company. And when they started their business, they had a similar thing going on where a lot of their friends were judging them or whatever. So one of the founders, what he did was he went to lunch with several of his friends. And as they sat down for lunch, he would just reveal to them their revenue numbers, what they were doing as a business. And he just looked at their response. And if it was anything other than supportive, he made the decision to cut them out of their life. So for you, I would probably look at that and say, hey, what is it that you want to do? And be honest with your friends about what you want to do. And if they're anything but supportive, you might as well cut them out now because I can guarantee they won't be there in 10 years. It's going to happen naturally. So number two, sports, just like business, are similar in that the team who makes the most mistakes usually wins. And the reason for that is that's the team that's taking the most chances, the team who's playing most aggressively. You got to learn to play to win, not playing to not lose. All right. So think about it. If you can take more chances, more risks, try more things throughout the course of a year, you're definitely going to have more failures and more losses, and you're going to make more mistakes, but you'll have a net higher amount of wins as a result. And at the end of the day, whoever has the more net wins. So like think of it as similar to a batting average. Let's say you're batting 300 or 400. That's getting a hit 3 to 4 out of every 10 balls, right? You're crushing it. You're probably a major league all-star. But we think that we're so afraid to take action and to try things that we're worried as to whether or not they're going to work or not. But the reality is the more things that don't work, the more accumulative wins that you'll have at the end of the year. All right, number three, entrepreneurs have to make decisions fast. And a lot of times we wait to make a decision because we're looking for more evidence, more data, or, thinking about it. And sometimes we can spend weeks thinking about one decision. Sometimes you just can't slow down and wait. You almost have to follow your intuition, your gut. You got to make decisions with speed, then analyze the result of that decision after the fact. This will allow you to become better at decision making over time because you'll have had made more decisions and been able to analyze the result of those decisions. And you start to create this like data set in your brain where eventually your intuitive sense becomes really strong because you have a lot of data that you input into it. All right. So make decisions with speed, move fast, don't overthink things. Number four, I can't emphasize this one enough. This one is the thing that probably held me back the longest, which is fuck chasing your passion. Screw that idea, right? Passion comes as the result of getting really good at something, developing skills and getting really proficient at those skills. Then you become passionate about that thing. So stop thinking, well, I'm not taking action on whatever it is in my life because I don't really know what I'm passionate about yet. I guarantee it, man. You're never going to find your passion until you just get really good at doing things. For me now, it's like marketing, sales, leading a team, things that I would have never thought that I'd have been passionate about, but I am because I've put the work in to become good at those things. The next one is just stop trying to be somebody else online. When you're fake, you're boring. And nobody has ever said like, hey, that really boring dude, Jordan, man, I should hire him, right? We're looking at the people who are interesting, who are unique, who are themselves. Because the more that you are yourself, the more that you're going to stand out, the more that you're going to relate. And at the end of the day, some people aren't going to vibe with you. They're going to think you're stupid, you're corny, or you're boring, whatever. But those are the people that you want to allow them to hate you, because it's also going to allow another segment of people to love you. And the people who love you ultimately are those who you're going to be able to serve, who are going to give you money for your services, who you're going to be able to actually impact. Number 6, putting off a hard conversation. Man, it's kind of like ignoring a injury in the gym, right? So you push through training and you think, my knee's kind of hurting me, but I'll deal with it later. So the next thing you know, you're pushing through a squat and you rupture it. And now you're out of the gym for 6 months and getting surgery. So you ultimately, when you put off these hard conversations, regardless of who it's with, what it's about, you create this like slow burn that ends up being a disaster at the end of the day, right? Rather than if you would have just put it out and extinguished it early on. So I have to tell myself this constantly, because I have a tendency to be like, it's not that important right now. I'll get to it later. And then I build a little bit of resentment around the thing that I didn't say. And then I end up like blowing up down the road, right? This occurs a lot in mine and Aaron's relationship, but also with team members and friends. So one of the biggest things for me. Number 7, the hardest milestone you'll ever face is your first 100,000. So everything beyond 100,000 really is just math, emotional control, strategy, but it's grit and it's just tenacity that is required for that first 100K. So I would just say, instead of like, once you get to 100,000, everything beyond that is just less, it doesn't matter as much. Like, it's not as exciting. That first 100K is like the most exciting thing, right? It's like, hell yeah, I did it. I finally feel confident and feel like this thing that I'm doing might actually work. But beyond that, it's kind of just like, doesn't matter. So after that, you have to shift. Instead of just chasing revenue, you have to focus on being useful to your team, your clients, your family, like showing up and actually giving value to those around you. That's the thing that's going to motivate you more, rather than just these revenue milestones. Number 8, businesses are built by solving problems, whereas great businesses are built by solving one person's painful and expensive problem. So I had a problem with this early on. I was just trying to help everybody. Okay. And I realized eventually, which that it can be useful early on when you're trying to get your business started. It's more important to just get clients than trying to find the perfect client. But at a certain point, you got to be okay with really niching down and deciding who it is you help, and realizing that the more people that you say no to that aren't a good fit will make you more money than just the ones you say yes to and trying to help everyone. Number 9, man, I wish I could have told myself this so much sooner. Stop trying to sell low ticket programs. All right. Think about it. Let's say you're trying to make $10,000. You either need to find a way to get enough traffic to your offer to sell 100 people at $100, or you can leverage even your small audience, your small network, and get 5 people to say yes to a $2,000 program. And I'm telling you, it is infinitely easier to sell 5 people at $2K than it is 100 people at $100. It's really hard to do the latter. Number 10, whatever problem your business solves, expect to attract the opposite of that problem. So what I mean is, our health coaching business, T4E Systems, we helped women lose weight, restore hormonal balance. And I would sometimes complain about clients who just weren't adherent or weren't consistent, until I eventually realized that like, that's literally what we're getting paid to do, right? Like, we are attracting people based on that messaging because they haven't been able to be consistent and adherent on their own. So they are hiring us to help them do so. To complain about that, that's like being an auto mechanic and you complain because the only customers who come to you have broken cars. Anyways, that's it, guys. Hopefully you find some use out of this. Maybe just a quick perspective check today. And if you found this useful, please let me know, share it, tag me. And as always, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you on the next one. Well, I have a really good one coming out next. I'm going to record it after this. It's all around how to make your content less boring. And I'm going to give you some actual proven pattern interrupt hooks to add to your content. It'll definitely increase the engagement and just make it stand out. Excited to record that one. I'll see you over there.